Welcome to An Hour with a Manager, your go-to podcast platform where we share industry insights from the best experts, ranging from customer experience, human resources, and much more. Join us for an hour of informative discussions, practical advice, and inspiring stories from the world of management. Stay tuned.
All right, so welcome to everyone. Thank you very much for tuning into another episode of An Hour with a Manager. And it's so good to be here. Like Kyle will say, that I'm going to be here for as long as, I don't know when, but by the grace of God, we're still going to be here. I'm going to be here to share information and share valuable information and continue to invite wonderful guests, professionals who have been before us, who have been ahead of us, and who have seen a lot, who have experienced a lot of things, and will be able to share their own quota to this very conversation, to this very podcast, to make it very engaging and very interesting. And I'm sure today that while you're here, please don't forget, if you have a notepad, you have a small pen or a small jotter, you have your water, you have a wine next to you, it's evening or probably might be lunch for you wherever you are, do also bring it close to you. Let's see how to have a very wonderful conversation. So today, I have a very wonderful person here on stage with me. I've known him for quite a while. I don't know if I'm going to say for over a year now. And we've always wanted to have a show like this, but there's not been a need for that. But right now, there's been a need for that, and we have him here with us. And I don't know if I'm going to say it's a pleasure. It's actually a pleasure to be here with him and to really have this, to share the stage with him today. But he's going to share more of his personal experience with us, and he's going to tell us more about him. But today I have here with me Gregorio Uglioni. Apologies for that. Gregorio Uglioni. I'm a CX Goalkeeper. Thank you very much.
Hi, Obong. That's a great pleasure. Thank you very much for this opportunity to chat and to discuss on your outstanding podcast, on your outstanding discussion, An Hour with the Manager. You asked me to introduce myself. What should I say? I am a father. I am passionate about customer experience, transformation, and leadership. I am working in a hospital, and I was able to put my passions together. I have a passion for soccer, you see my background, or football, and I have a passion for customer experience and transformation, human-centric transformation. And this ability to put them together brought me to this setup. Then when I'm working, I am also working on my passion, and super happy to be here and thrilled to have these discussions together with you, Bong.
Thank you very much. And you just said you made one striking statement that I just want to get back to a little bit. How did you even get the balance between soccer and customer experience? It's very interesting.
For me, if you're in business, it's all about differentiating yourself. And you have an outstanding brand, An Hour with the Manager, and you are doing a lot of stuff in this direction. And for me, was on the market, there are a lot of people speaking about transformation, a lot of people speaking about customer experience. And we know some speaks about traveling, some speak about service excellence in hotels and so on. And I said, why not really putting together what I like and leveraging this example of soccer, football, for the European and also on our side of the world, and find some example from there and use this branding to spread these different ideas. For me, it's a differentiator. And please let me only do one short example also to introduce the topic. You are speaking about employee experience. Let's think about football players, how important they are to their team and how they are treated in their clubs, in their teams when they're playing. And I think also there, I think we can share some thoughts about this importance to treat the employees well in the best possible way, to give them the opportunity to give the best to achieve the company target, to achieve the target of the team, for example, winning the game or winning the championship.
Yeah. Wow. That's a very beautiful way to bring that up together. I can't just imagine myself just having to think about soccer and then customer experience and then employee and then managers and then bringing that up to also talk about deliverables and performance and productivity. So thank you very much for at least also having the opportunity to to have insight into that. And I'm trying to imagine all of this from your journey. how did you like how long did it happen that you came up with all of this philosophy? Because I'm actually going to call that philosophy because it's something you actually believed in, and because you believed in it, yeah, it grew over time, and because it grows over time. You now have a football field. Come on, it's now left to have a full stadium.
I am quite sure, Ubong, with all the followers that you have, people following this podcast, the stadium is really full, and this is
Of
thanks to you.
course.
But the
Yeah,
good thing,
actually the stadium of audience.
the good thing is it's a friendship play game. I play together with you and not against you, and therefore it's even better. But back to your questions, I started with my podcast roughly 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and I started having nice discussion with people around the world, in particular in the UK and then in the USA, and therefore I said, okay, but that's really interesting. And one guest and one person speaking to me said, but why are you not publishing that? Because it could help other people. And I said, oh, this is a great idea. And I started publishing them without big expectation of having an audience or doing something specific. I said, we have cool discussion, let's share them with other people. And then I started, and in the meantime my podcast is in the top 5 worldwide, and I can have every week a nice discussion with people about customer experience, leadership, employee experience sometimes, and transformation.
Wow, thank you very much, Greg, for that. And I'm sure having you today is also worth the time, and also makes a lot of sense to tap into your rich experience. And to everyone who's joining us on this live podcast today, thank you very much, and welcome to an Hour with Your Manager podcast. Our conversation today is all about enhancing employee engagement and motivation. And Greg here, the CX Goalkeeper, is going to also share with us how much as employees, it also makes sense as organizations, as customers. It also makes sense to have a balance, to be able to strive for productivity. Because if you don't have a happy employee, you might not have a happy customer, and vice versa. But we believe that today's business world is actually changing. The landscape is actually changing. Employees are beginning to have a voice. Customers are beginning to have a voice. But are we going to say that there are limits to how that voice should be? Or because you actually have a voice, it means you have to just demand for anything? Or organizations are also going to say, oh, no, yes, you have the voice, but these are the limitations to how your voice can actually be. And this is what we can also do to keep you guys motivated to still continue to come back. Because if there's no customer, if there's no employee, like Greg said, then you don't have a company, you don't have a business. You're just there left to yourself, and you cannot be selling. So today, we are going to learn all of this within the space of 1 hour plus. And if you have any question, please don't forget to do that. If you can't send it in the comment section, feel free to send it into my inbox. My message is open, and I'll be able to respond to them and also share it here. Our CX Goalkeeper is going to help us keep some goals. At least I'm not sure we're going to be scoring so much. We're going to be hitting on target, right?
I think you can score the goals. I am here to support you and to help you. I am the goalkeeper, and you will score all the goals.
All right.
And now with the manager, we have the best possible striker is Ubong.
Thank you
Number
very much.
10.
I'll try to make a good game then.
That's
Okay.
great.
Yeah, so speaking on the topic on employee engagement, so I just want to get first into let's understand what employee engagement can actually mean in business. In your own context, how do you see employee engagement, or what do you think employee engagement actually is?
For me, the discussion is a bit bigger. I will focus on employee engagement, but at the end, in a company, you need to drive activities in order to deliver something to the customer. And doing all these activities, working on these activities, are the employees. The employees put everything together. Often, when we speak about employee engagement or this topic, we speak a lot about customer-facing employees, the one that are speaking with the customer, what we can do for them, how we can help them, and so on. But basically, it's everybody in the company. Is the accountant doing the accounting? Is the controller doing the controlling? Is the risk manager ensuring the risk? Every employee plays a role in delivering value to the customer, creating the value, creating the service or the product offered to the customer. And therefore, employee engagement means how active are these employees, what they are doing, are they keen to be there and to work in the company, or do they need to be there? And I think employee engagement is about moving from the employee saying, I need to go to work because I need to get my salary to pay my bills, to I want to be there because it makes sense. I see the purpose. I see why I'm doing that. And for sure to get the money to have a nice life and pay all the bills. But basically this move from I need to be there to I want to be there can be game changing. Ubong, I continue speaking, you can stop me.
Of course, please. Of course.
And if you're speaking about employee engagement, I think there are three important topics. The first one is the cultural environment. How are employees feeling in the company? For example, how is the leadership style in the company? How are the people there? Or how is the organizational structure? How many managers of the managers, VP, directors are there? Or is the hierarchy a bit smaller, but you can work and collaborate? The first one is cultural environment. The second one is also important, is the technical environment. Which tools are we giving to our employees to deliver? For example, the tools, the laptop, the software that we are offering to them. I also here an example. You spoke about customer and about employees. Often companies are extremely focused to deliver the best possible digital solution to the customer. A very nice app, a very nice web interface, or other tools. And then you go back. I use again a customer service example because I know that pretty well. The customer service employees need to use 5, 6, 7 different tools while they have a customer on a call, while they are answering customer inquiries, because nobody took care about all these tools. And it's not good for them because they cannot deliver the promise that a company did to the customer. The first one, cultural environment. The second one, technical environment. And the third one is the physical environment, is what employees see, taste, touch, are the walls, the floors, the doors, but also the demographics in a company. Is the diversity real there? Are younger people, older people, how they are working together? And not only somewhere on the wall is written, we support diversity, but then are all the same guys doing the same stuff, for example, all over 50 years old. And I think these are three important topics to focus on when we are speaking about employee engagement.
Wow, that's a very great breakdown. Already looking at these three, would I call it environment? Like you mentioned, it kind of summarizes the whole topic on employee engagement. But I want to ask, how did you come up with these three key points as a very valuable way of looking at employee engagement?
I'm super happy to share also the article with you. It's a summary of different articles that I found out. And then at the end, I want to be honest, on Forbes, I found an article that really used this cultural, technical, and physical environment. And I find how they are describing their great. And therefore I said, okay, I keep this summary and I will use that. The example that I did are not the same as in the article because I wanted to add something from my side, but these are really a good Forbes article that I can share with you and you can share with the audience.
Of course. Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you very much for that. I'm talking about the three key points in employee engagement. I kind of stumbled on an article that talked about 5 C's of employee engagement, where they talked about care, connect, coaching, contribute, and congratulate. Do you think these 5 C's are actually very important for long-term view of an organization with the employee, looking at care, connect, coaching, contributing, and then congratulate? Because these days we have employers who sometimes see vulnerability just to be vulnerable as a very bad thing. Sometimes it's good. It depends on the approach, depends on how you show it, and sometimes it goes bad. But these five C's of employee engagement, how do you think it's very valuable for organizations and employee moving forward?
I think I want to be honest. I don't know these five C's, but there are five C's, three F, five Q. There are different models. But what you said, the words that you used, the first one is care. It's so important that we care about our employees, and we should care about our employees not only on paper or with standard processes, but we should care about the people, how they are, how they feel, what they need. Or you said congratulate.
Yes.
It's like at home. If your friend, your somebody from your family is doing something well, you say thank you. How often do you hear these simple words that really don't cost a lot? Thank you while you're working in a company. Good companies are doing that often, but a lot of other companies never say thank you to an employee and congratulate, saying thank you. It's not about starting a big program to change this and that, introducing a new tool. Are the foundation, the basics. Only saying, Ubong, thank you that you invited me to this discussion, that I can share what I think about that. I think I want to be fair with everybody. Perhaps we forgot that. Let's come back. And therefore, I think these are extremely important. Also, the opportunity to give feedback. I know a lot of companies that are celebrating how they are giving feedback to each other, but it's always positive feedback. Oh, you did this well. Oh, you did that well. Oh, you get 5 bonus points because you went extra mile. But in which point in time are we sharing also negative feedback? And I know these are perhaps not the best words to explain that, but as a human being, I want to improve myself. The first question that I will ask you, Bong, after this discussion, when we are out of this live, is how I can improve, what I can say different that the people can understand better. And I think this is something that we are forgetting in companies when we are working.
Wow. You know, at some points we look at organizations, and like you mentioned, there's some organizations or some companies that don't actually have time for their employees. Their own business is all about just making the money. Just make us the money. Get us the numbers every day or every week, however the ROI should be. We should always hit that benchmark every point in time. But at some point, will you say it's actually a thing for maybe will you say it's a thing for what do you call it for progress? Because some people think maybe working in an organization like that is actually healthy. We have people who think that way and think, okay, no, it's going to put me on a fast lane. It's going to put me to think more. It's going to put me to think outside the box, try to think on my toes. Do you think it's healthy long term for an employee, or do you think it's going to have probably an issue along the line?
I think if companies are not focusing at least as much as they are focusing on their customer and on their revenues, on the ROI, as you mentioned, they will not win on the long term. Let's keep the football example. If you want to stay long in the game, then you need to take care of the human beings. Yes, there are machines that we can use and leverage. That's another topic. But if we are not taking care of the human beings, it's not working. And we see, for example, how often people now are changing job. It's dramatic because companies underestimate how much it costs. I did some research to join your podcast and to be prepared. McKinsey is saying that to find a new employee, it costs 6 to 9 monthly salaries to get this guy on board and up to speed. And therefore, I think it's quite a lot of money. And there is exactly, and there it's extremely important. I did some research. I'm happy to share them. The Dale Carnegie Institute is saying that engaged employees outperform those without being engaged, those companies without engaged employees, by 202%. I repeat, 202%. McKinsey is saying that engaged employees improve the relation to the customer by 10%. And now not speaking specific about customer experience, but thinking about if the relation with the customer is better, then I have more retention, I have more acquisition, and a customer are buying more from me. And the last numbers for the people that are more on the logical side, trying to understand this topic, Gallup says that companies that focus on employee engagement have 41% less absenteeism and 24% less turnover. These numbers are immense, are so big, and therefore every company must, on the short term and on the long term, focus on the employees.
You know, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking sometimes, like you've mentioned, when I go online and I see this data, and I have to look back again personally. You know, looking at this data and looking at the data of workforce, how much it is declining, because people just you know, these days people put it like a budget. After 6 months, they leave wherever they're working. After 6 months, they move to the next place. After 6 months, they move to the next place. But sometimes you realize that this company that they're actually leaving to the next one is actually either treating them well, or showing them the best value that they can get at that space. But simply because of maybe peer pressure or societal difference or something, they're actually moving on and saying, no, that pay is not really what I should be earning right now. I should be getting something more. Yeah, I know you should be earning something more, but I feel like employees themselves, personally, if you know that you're good and you know that the company you are, where you are, they actually value you, you can also, you know, request for, oh, I've been doing a particular kind of job for this time interval, and I think I deserve a raise, or I think I deserve a bonus, or I think I deserve something like this. I don't know how is that. So do you think maybe it's not something employees should be free to do?
I think what you're saying, yes, it's extremely important, and perhaps also to challenge you a bit. I did another research, and I will ask you some questions because I found the data for Switzerland. I am living in Switzerland. I share the data or some facts, and you can confirm if on your side of the world is similar. It's a Deloitte analysis. I think that's also very well-known consulting company, and they are speaking about generation. And we're speaking, and now I share some facts about Gen Z and millennials. They are defining Gen Z as people between 14 and 28 years old, and millennials are between 29 years old and 43 years old. It means these are the people that are our workforce, are the people that are working now or in few years will work on companies. First of all, they are defining their identity not based on the company they are working for, but they are defining their identity based on friends and family. And I would say it's something that you can confirm also on your side of the world.
Of course.
The second one, therefore I'm asking, I don't want to put you in a difficult situation. Second one, loyalty to the company is decreasing. 43% of the people interviewed are thinking about changing job in the next 2 years. Why people are leaving? Because there is no purpose. They are saying, it doesn't make sense, the job that I'm doing. Why should I do that? Is also on your side the same?
Yeah.
That's incredible. They are saying most important thing for them is flexibility. They want, and I think there it's the question that perhaps we can also discuss. They want to have this work-life balance. I think it's not work-life balance anymore. It's work-life integration, because we are always connected. We can receive all these emails, we can chat and so on. But I think there it's extremely important work-life balance. Yeah. The next point is the flexibility around that. It means people are asking much more sabbatical, longer vacation, because I want to do a trip. I want to have more time for paternity leave.
I want to join my friends to travel.
Exactly. Then the last point is what, and I think this is also extremely important for companies that want or would like to focus on employee engagement. What what are the fears of these two groups, Gen Z and millennials? And two of the most mentioned topics is climate change, and we know that it's happening. And the second one is the increased cost of living. Every time the cost of living are increasing dramatically, if I think about Europe, Italy, Germany, and so on in the last few years, they increased dramatically. And
it's actually the same over here in Nigeria and in Africa.
Exactly.
Probably. Yeah.
Exactly. And therefore, again, we are coming back to what you said. If I go through this point, every point is telling me that we need to focus on the employees, because we need to keep the good employees and ensure that they have this, as we said, integration between work and life, and they can deliver what they are delivering. I continue doing an example. I worked for Accenture a few years ago, 15 years ago, to be honest. and there it was all about how long we were sitting on the chair. Not the 10 hours, but the 15, 16 hours. The target was I work from 8 a.m. in the morning until 2 o'clock in the morning. And then I celebrate, oh, yes, today I worked so much. Today it's not like that anymore. And people want to do their job. And I know they are the same people. They are good, they are smart, but they want to do their job in a specific time frame, and then they want to live their lives, because we know and something can happen. And therefore, again, let's find ways to improve the employee experience for us. I think you're a millennial or you're a Gen Z, I don't know, but for us millennials and for the Gen Z, everything is changing, and employees are an asset for a company. And I think this is an important topic. We see employees as people that are there and doing the work, but in reality, and you spoke about ROI and so on, all these companies that are also focusing on the short term, employees are one of the most important assets in the company, if not the most important asset. Because without employees, you can do anything. Without smart employees, you cannot find the next cool innovation. Without engaged employees, they are not going the extra mile to solve issue of the customer and so on. And sorry, Ubong, I want to be really extremely direct to everybody. The good ideas are not coming from the top managers. The good ideas are coming from the employees.
Why do you say that?
Because for me, it's this focus on this new generation and thinking about Gen Z 14 to 20 to 28. If we treat these employees that start working, that are coming into the business and start working, is the first job, is perhaps the second jobs, we need to give them the opportunity to we need to empower them to do their stuff. We need to ensure that they are engaged, and then they bring their ideas. Often the top management is thinking, oh, we have all the solution, we have all the ideas, and our employees need to execute what we are saying. And therefore, I was saying that. Thank you for asking for a clarification.
Okay, and it's good that you actually put down the points we're talking about Gen Zs and millennials, because I know that most of the people who are leaving jobs today are actually the Gen Zs, and the Gen Zs are actually changing the pattern of work. You know, compared to then, like you mentioned, where you have to sit long hours, you have to be very loyal to your boss. Your whatever your boss tells you to do is what you have to do. It's not compared to now, whereby they ask you to do to probably to complete a task, and you're asking what's the time frame, and do I have to take a leave after that, or do I have to take do I have to have a raise after that or something? You know, they're more outspoken and demanding compared to when you have to hold back. No, I don't want to ask my boss, so I don't hurt his feelings, or probably he don't start questioning me if I'm out there for the money, or I want to also learn and grow. But you know, these days, the Gen Zs are trying to learn and they're trying to grow, and they're demanding more from the employers. But don't you think that them demanding more and trying to give less, because we have Gen Zs or employees who demand more, and then they want to give less. How do you look at that in terms of engagement? Do you also say that that is also good for employers, for them to also say, oh, okay, because you've probably completed the task for only Monday, you're free to take Tuesday, Wednesday off, and then come back Thursday. Meanwhile, what you did on Monday was just you didn't even actually do anything. You personally, you know that you didn't do anything, because maybe looking at the remote world where I can't see you, you're at your house, and you just logged into your PC, left it open there, and then you went back to bed, or probably went to wherever you're going to.
I think you are touching two topics. On one side, it's a bit also linked to what I said earlier about leadership and the role of the boss, and on the other side is about how much should people give. I start with the leadership topic, and then we go to your question. And
Thank you.
I think from the boss and from the leadership, I think there it's also the need for a mindset change. On the leadership side, let's take one example, and I'm sure you know him. Gary Vaynerchuk is very well known. Gary V. He is the CEO of big companies. He's a billion-dollar guy, but he's still answering by himself a lot of social posts. When he's posting something, he's the one then also answering to them. And I think this example that he's giving to the company, but also to keep the feeling what's happening with the customer, what's happening inside of the company is a good example. Or speaking about bosses going through this decisioning process. How are decisions taken? You said the boss gave to the millennial a task, and he was required to perform that. But were this employee involved in the decisioning process? Were they able to understand why something needs to be done? And there is one interesting quote of Roy Disney that it's saying, it's not hard to take decision when you know your values. And if your values are about integration, ensuring that also employees can work together, then it's easier, because also a Gen Z or a millennial, if they understand better how decisions were taken, then they work more. And the last thing is about what's the role of the leadership. Is the old-fashioned giving tasks and say to them, you need to do this or that, or is more this servant leadership? And I know this is positive and negative view, but on that also my personal experience, we were in a workshop, and then my boss is the CIO of the hospital I'm working, and he said, I am here to help you. We were discussing in the workshop, and then somebody asked, yeah, but yes, you are the boss, you need to take the decision. And he said, no, in this workshop, I am like you. If you need something, I can help you. If you want coffee, I can bring you coffee, because for me, it's important that you are empowered, you have the setup to work and to deliver. This is on the boss side. On the other side, I agree with you. It's a big topic. If people want to work 2-3 days instead of 5 or 6 days a week, but basically there it's important. First of all, how we can leverage technology, automation, artificial intelligence to perform some tasks that don't need to be performed by people anymore. And on the other side, how can we motivate these people? And there I have some examples, some people that I know, they are Gen Z, they would like to work less and so on, but if they are motivated, if they have the right context, if they understand what's happening and they feel part of what is happening, they are super happy to work more and to deliver. And I think that it's extremely important. On the other side, I agree, there are some people that are not so much committed, and then it's about finding ways to motivate them, to understand, to share, and then again, at the end, we are in the business to deliver, and therefore it's perhaps also what you said at the beginning. It's always about delivering more and working more, or it's about working in a smarter way.
Wow, that's a good way to close up on that. Delivering more and working more, working smarter and better, making it all better. You know, technology is like a cheat sheet, for us today compared to then 10 years ago when you have to do everything manually, everything writing down documentation, probably meetings. Today we could just impute maybe a read AI tool and then it takes down notes for us and we don't have to be taking down notes, and things have actually been simplified. But let's talk a little bit about the customer experience and intent and how employee engagement actually works. So how do you think the response rate for customers actually work back for employees? Because I know that sometimes some employees take the bullets for their bosses. Yeah. Those ones, there's some employees who don't actually say that, but they know that, okay, this is who I am, this is what I like to do, and this is how I can always keep this space on, whether I'm being appreciated or I'm not being appreciated. But in as much as I can do this, it's enough satisfaction for me. But so how is customer experience actually helping the employees to be able to keep their work process improved?
I think that I start with an example. You mentioned that at the beginning, we ask customer for feedback, and there it's also a cultural point of view. Are we looking only at the negative feedbacks that customer are giving, and this didn't went well, this is an issue, this is a problem, and this is a complaint? Or are we also looking at the positive feedbacks? And there are a lot of positive feedbacks. And then you use this feedback, you leverage this feedback to say thank you to the people, to celebrate success. What we did, and it's really something that we did, is we took out from this voice of the customer, this surveys to the customer, the positive feedbacks, and we spread them. And we congratulate the people that receive positive feedback. For example, a customer saying, "Oh, Ubong did a great job because he helped me in a very empathetic way." And then you can print it out like a certificate and say, "This is the customer certificate that you did a great job. Ubong, I give it to you." And then you are happy and you leverage these positive feedbacks. I think there it's also a cultural setup, leveraging positive feedback to celebrate people, to celebrate employees, and using the negative feedback to improve the processes. And there it's clear. You said sometimes employees are getting the bullet and not the bosses, but also there are nowadays ways to put all these feedbacks together and share them back to the manager, to the line manager. What we did when I was working in a customer service department was, let's put all this feedback together that we are getting from the customer and then summarize them and bring them back to the managers that they can grow through these customer stories, positive and negative, and find ways to find solution. Often there are also escalation. There is a practice in the customer service world where if you say that the customer complained, then the line manager of the employee getting this complaint needs to call the customer within 24 or 48 hours. And there also the managers are getting the bullets as you are, but the manager have also a bigger power because they can change things, they can perhaps apply rules in a different way. And I think this is extremely important to make also the bosses aware of what is going wrong and what is going well. And there, for me, it's always about having engaged employees brings happy customers, and happy customers brings happy shareholder, because then you deliver on the return on the investment.
Okay, while you spoke about the employee engagement and speaking about line managers, how they come in as the final mediators to help this thing work, a question popped up, and I got a question from my comments that how do you improve proper customer experience in a company, an organization with management? How do you balance these two departments together? Because I know then we didn't really have the voice of the customers as very important, but now we have that going on. So how do these two departments come together to work to better the customer experience, to also help reduce or promote the employees' engagement process in the company?
There I can do an example. What we really did is we created a meeting where we had the managers of different departments together, and the name of this meeting was translated into English, working bench. That was really the place where managers were required to work together. A case or several cases that related to one topic were presented, and the managers of the different departments were required to find a solution to solve these issues. And this is one example how to improve customer experience from the voice of the employees getting this feedback, putting all these feedbacks together, going into this meeting, presenting the case, and then the managers were required to find solution to change process and to take decision. And at some point in time, it was so successful that our CEO was also there. And then he was the guy that was also allowed to take decisions, change policies, change processes. And then it was extremely quick decisioning process to implement process changes. This is only one example among a lot. But basically what I want to mention, or I think it's also important, every time that you get the feedback is a gift that you get. Sometimes take time to provide you some feedback, and therefore it's extremely important to act on this feedback. In the small world, in the one-to-one, if you gave me feedback, I do something, and I give you feedback. I did something about your feedback. I improved this and that. And then summarizing, putting that together with all the feedbacks, because perhaps your feedback came also from 10 different customers. And if I solve only in the one-to-one relationship, then it's always solving. But putting that together, going together through this business process management tool improvement process, and saying, okay, we got 20 inquiry about this topic. Let's fix that for the whole company. And then you don't get this negative feedback anymore, and you can focus on more important things.
Wow, thank you for going in depth in that. And just a little bit to our audience who are listening to us, thank you for everyone who's been able to tune into this conversation, to this podcast today. And we have Erica Harris, who is really, really very active in our comment section, who's also appreciating the conversation and also re-emphasizing on some of the points you've talked about: work smarter, not harder, negative feedback, and some other conversation as regards to the football cliche and how it applies to management. So I think you also have another fan who is actually appreciating your work with balancing football and customer experience. But in talking about the beauty of how you've been able to in your organization, you've been able to win in bringing customers or the customer experience department and management to have that coexistence, to be able to think together and improve business process. But in between, what were those challenges that you guys faced before coming to that agreement that, oh, okay, we can actually work together? You bring in the marketing department, we can actually work together to think together and then see how to make this very interesting.
I try to simplify it because it's really hard work, and I agree with everybody. But I think if we like to do this work, then we should do that. If we have the passion, we should do that. But basically, what I learned is to learn speaking the language of the other people. It means I could now speak with you and continually speak about customer journey management, customer journey harmonization, and so on. But perhaps we don't understand each other, and it's not something that is relevant to you and to your audience. You explained to me before this discussion a bit what is an hour with a manager, who is joining this podcast, and this is not a podcast only related to customer experience professional, and therefore I should try to use a different language. And also in companies, if I'm speaking with the finance department, I should speak figures. I should use data, facts, information that are relevant to them. For the finance department, it's about return on investment, it's about revenues, it's about cost. And therefore, if I want to do a change a process, I need to explain to them that it's cost related. I can decrease my cost and it will have an impact on the bottom line. If I go to the marketing department, I can explain to the marketing department in their language. If we solve this issue, we can improve retention or we can improve the acquisition. And then it's related to their language that they are speaking on a daily basis, and it's related to their targets. And therefore, then you can start speaking with the language of the company and you can start putting all the people together at the same table.
I can imagine I can imagine the hard work being put in between. It actually sounds very interesting, but I can imagine the hard work being put in between to make this work, to have people who freely, after sharing all of the approach, trying to be what I call it, one man with different shades. You have to think like the finance person, think like the marketing person, just to make everybody coexist. And sometimes you just have to, yeah, you have to look like you don't even know what you're doing, so that the next person's voice can also be heard, and business process can actually move very well. So thank you very much for those insights you've been able to share. And let's extend a little bit to look at what we are hoping to get, because I know that work-life balance is a thing where everybody's actually embracing. It's a very hot topic these days, and I understand that work-life balance itself is all about you, who is actually in at that space at that very time, and how you feel, because you cannot be Matthew at work, and then be maybe Matthew back at home. If you don't know how to keep those balance, you just have to maintain it and still not want to change yourself, but maintain what you're doing. But in terms of employee engagement and the whole process and organizational growth and how business process is moving, because yeah, we have the bots and we have employees who are making decisions, who are beginning to say yes to different things and no to things that they don't want. What are the trends that we're hoping to get in the nearest future, in terms of employees, in terms of how business process will be between organizations and employee, and as well, which will also reflect to the customers?
Well, that's a very tough question, because speaking about trends, it's clear that the first topic is really about. Now let's start with technology. We did not speak about technology and all this artificial intelligence, all this generative AI that it's there. I think that this is an important trend that we should focus on as employees, but also as companies, because this will change and completely reshape the way that we are working. For me, it's like the difference between having internet and not having internet, the World Wide Web. This will be completely different, and I think we should take care about this trend to ensure a smooth integration of this technology together, our employees, how we employees are working. This is for sure one. The second one, and we spoke about that, but to bring that up, is generation are changing. We millennials in 10, 15 years will be at the end of their careers. Gen Z will be in the middle of the career, and then it comes the new generation. And these new generations have completely different values. I hope, that's my big hope, that are better than ours, working
I,
hard
I,
and
you know,
harder.
we're struggling with the Gen Zs disagreeing to work 9 to 5. The next generation is going to cut it by half. It's going to be probably 12 to 5 or 4 hours.
Yeah, but if there if the yeah, but at the end, if AI can take over a lot of repetitive tasks, a lot of tasks that don't require creativity and all these things that we differentiate the human beings, why not? I think this change of the values will be really important, and I think there will be also a big impact on climate change, on environmental setup, on diversity, and so on. I think these will be trends that we need to follow, and we need to take care. I really believe that diversity is key, because if we leave people, always the same people, take decisions, then nothing will change. And we want to change for the better. We want, or I personally want, to be a bit better every day, a bit better. And therefore, I'm really keen to see this new generation coming up with different values, with a different mindset that will help us change. My son is 7 years old, and he's learning at school stuff that I never learned at school, because now it's a stupid thing, but I think it's the basics. He start learning to recycle when he's 7. He's coming home and he's saying, "Oh, this is plastic. We need to put it there. This is cartoon. This is paper. We need to put it there." And therefore, I have really this big hope that it will change.
That's something to look out for, and I think the change is happening faster than we could ever think of. But do you think it's a bad thing, or is something that will help the future of organizational life or work or society itself?
It can be scaring, but we cannot stop that. And I think as human beings, we are enough good to adapt. It will take some time, but we will adapt. And at the end, I want to take it really back to the simplest way. This generative AI, this artificial intelligence is programmed by human beings. And my big hope is that these human beings are doing that for the benefit of the world and not to damage the world. And as long as human beings are required to program to create this setup, I have the big hope that it's done to improve our lives, because we have only one world and we have only one life.
Let's hope the guys behind the code base won't just sell us out to AI someday.
Exactly.
Maybe they'll write a code to shut down the whole world. Okay, yeah. So if I'm to ask, talking about your personal life a little bit, how do you balance up all of this? How do you cope with, because I know before we came on this call, you had to wait to keep your son to bed or to put your son to bed. And how do you balance all of this personally? Let's talk a little bit about work-life balance. How do you balance this between your professional career and then your own personal life?
That's a good question, but for me is yes, I will say that I have for me my battery charger is my family. I really can quickly recharge my batteries being together with my son, together with my wife, together with my sister, with my mother, with my father-in-law. And I think it's important to find ways to recharge the batteries, and everybody is a different one. Few years ago I started doing some sports, jogging and so on, and this helped me. I think we need to find not a work-life balance anymore, but what we need to find is how to integrate this the working life and the personal life, that we can stick to our values, that we can stick to our vision, to our mission. For me, it's clear. I want to wake up in the morning and have a positive impact to my family, to the job I'm doing, and to the people that I'm meeting. And for me, it's important to stick to these values, to stick to my vision, and ensure that it's working. And I know that the most important thing it's also that I have enough energy, I'm enough healthy to do that. Because if I'm every day sick, then I am in the bed and I cannot do anything. And therefore, for me, this is important. Now it's on my side of the world, it's 10 o'clock. But after this discussion, I go out with more energy and not with less energy, because I really like the discussion. I really appreciate what you are doing, what you are trying to do, your mission, what you want to achieve with an hour with the manager. And therefore, I go out with my batteries recharged, because it's not something that I must do, but I like to do.
I love that statement, that I like to do, not something you must do. So you're not under duress to actually perform the task, but you're doing it because you actually enjoy it. And yes, just speaking about an hour with the manager, that if I were to do it again, I would still say yes. I would like to do it, and I would still want to do it, because probably if I was being paid to do it, I don't think I'll do this long term. For real, I don't think I'll do this long term. But because to where I am right now, I don't even understand that. Oh, we're actually moving. Oh, we're moving. Oh, okay, we're moving from not having a guest or not having audience to now having audience, to not having no newsletter to now having newsletters, and then to having people who engage, and also to having someone like you who also is also a guest on our podcast. So it's something that keeps me going, and it keeps me very, very energized. So thank you for also sharing that. And while you talked about a personal journey, there's a podcast conversation I had with one of our guests, and then still on work-life balance, he kind of made a point as regarding to people starting out in career. Okay, so I also like to maybe get your own perspective as regarding to that, because talking about work-life balance, will you say it's very, very effective for those starting out their career? Because starting out a career, you're trying to just get your stand, you're trying to get your feet, and when you're maybe 5-10 years ahead of your career, at least you've gotten a balance. Then that is when you start thinking about your health. Start thinking about balancing family and the rest.
I think throughout the career and while we are getting older and older, our values change. What was for me important 20 years ago, it's not important now. And if I can give back something to the younger generation, try to be patient. You cannot achieve everything within few seconds. And you mentioned that during our discussion, if you want to achieve something, you need to invest, and you need to invest time, resources, and so on. And Matthew didn't create an hour with a manager within one night or within 1 hour. He's working since months, years on this topic, and is still driving, is also working late in the evening to do that. And therefore, you need to invest if you want to then to earn something later, to get something later back. Few people have this big opportunity to do like that and get all the solutions. Most of the people like me, and I think like you, Matthew, need to invest time, be patient, try different thing out, don't stop, and be always positive. And at some point in time, you will find your way.
Thank you for that word, and definitely those who will be listening to this later will also get inspired, and will also get inspired by this, because you're one of those people who also motivate me to still be here. Because yeah, like I said, now with the manager, it's actually a very wonderful project. But in as much as you're doing something you actually love doing, but when you look at your long term, you look back and then you look at where you are, and then you don't see progress, then you probably have to move to something else. But when you see that, okay, there's an acceptance to that, and then you can keep moving on gracefully. We have you, and thank you for that. But let's talk a little about the CX Goalkeeper, because I know you have quite very wonderful conversations with guests, and in terms of customer experience, because I try to imagine how much the conversations you have with your guests try to also use to shape the world of customer experience. Because what you're saying right now is not only you just saying it from, it's not just you just saying it from just maybe a personal experience, or just saying it from just a theoretical experience, but from personal experience, personal conversations, personal activities. You've carried on this thing time and place, and you've now looked at CX customer experience more than just customer and just the experience you get, but you're now aligning it with what they call it, the football pitch, with what you love, which is football, and trying to see how to make the best out of that. So how have you been carrying on what you're doing, and with the future of CX Goalkeeper podcast moving forward?
Thank you for asking this question. I recorded more than 180 episodes with guests all around the world, from Africa, from Australia, from Europe, from the US, and also big names joined my podcast. It took time, but I like this way of sharing back what we are discussing, helping people to get insight, tangible thing that they can do during their work. I know that the name of the podcast is the CX Goalkeeper, but it's not only about customer experience. Every company needs to change, need to transform, need to pivot in the next on the next level, and therefore we started speaking about transformation, business transformation, digital transformation. We started speaking about leadership, and this is what I really like, and I will continue this discussion as long as I still have one person listening to that, because it means I can give to somebody else something back. And this is my passion project. I'm not calculating the return on the investment on a financial point of view, because there is no return at all. But for me, the return is what you said, Matthew. It's the good feedback from your audience. It's the feedback from the guests saying, "Oh, that's cool." It's the people when you go to a conference that recognize you and recognize my cap and say, "Ah, you are the CX goalkeeper. I would like to get the cap," or something like that. And these are the nice things that happens. And I think we are a big community, and we want, and I desire to help others not making the same mistake that I did or that other companies did.
And if you had to do it again, will you do what you're doing right now?
My wife is not listening to that. Yes, I would do that. I invest a lot of time, but it's an investment. It's not spending time, but it's really investing. Because also this discussion with you, it's more than 1 hour, but I am learning also a lot from you, and therefore I'm super happy to get that. And you mentioned that somebody from the audience gave feedback. I'm super happy. That's for me, the return is there, and yes, I want to do that. But why? Because it's my passion. I like to do that. I like to help others learning, getting better, and making progress, because I think this is the way we should live together.
Okay, thank you very much, Greg, for all you've been able to share with us. We've had a successful 1 hour and 3 minutes conversation. We've talked about employee engagement, and we've also blended employee engagement with good customer service returns, and how that can also in turn give good ROI for the organization, because except you're running an NGO, then you have to pay salaries, and because of that, you have to keep business activity going. And you've also shared about how employers can as well, impact the world of employees in terms of the kind of conversations they have with them, in terms of the kind of process they follow up with them, and how the balance tries to help them in terms of growth process, and also even tracking, those favorite employees who, oh, this person, whether I'm there or I'm not there, this person is definitely going to deliver. And you see how to nurture when you have your eyes on such employees. You see how to nurture them and treat them better, so that they will in turn give back to the organization, and that will also in turn spread across the company. And thank you very much for all we've been able to talk about today, and to everyone who's been here with us for the past 1 hour and 4 minutes. And Now with the Manager is that management podcast where we get to share valuable information. Let's see how to make better the future of work. You understand? Let's see how to make management simple and easy for anybody to be able to follow up. It shouldn't be a thing where you have to see as very tedious. Yes, it can be stressful if you put in the work, but you're not just going to put in the work in a random space. When you listen to our podcast, it's going to give you a direction on how you should think, how you should look at things, and probably it will also make you question your thoughts. Let you know that, oh, that thing I thought, oh, maybe how I wanted to treat my employees, is it right? Is it the best way to go about it? Or no, okay, oh, I heard what Greg said, and no, let me try this approach. Maybe it might work for me, and it can also improve business process for us too. And definitely, like one of the feedbacks we've had, where we've had one of our audience, which that's like one of the best feedback I've had so far, and I'm very happy to always say that. He listened to our podcast conversation and he got a promotion into an operations manager. And when he mentioned that statement, I was like, wow, so we could actually have someone listen to our conversation and put into practice what you listen to us, and then get the best out of it. So I say thank you very much for our audience who was listening, and to you who've been able to come on board to our show. But before we wrap up on this conversation today, what's the last thing you would like to leave our audience who's listening to this very conversation with?
That's yes. It's not about business to business or business to consumer. We are in a human to human environment.
That's a good point. Human to human environment. We are going to talk about this some other time, because that alone is a very great conversation. But thank you very much for coming on board our podcast, and thank you very much to everyone who spent the past 1 hour and 6 minutes with us. And we hope that we're going to be here next week Thursday. Where we have a very wonderful guest who's from South Africa, Athi. We'll share more insight with her. And we're going to still talk about human resource management. Let's see how to balance up people. Let's see how to make and promote good business process in organizations. Well, we have humans there. They're not robots. Even if it's robots, humans control those robots. So let's see how to, instill some part of human gene or human blood into those bots. Let them think like us, and let's continue to make good business process. Thank you to Erica Harris, who's been able to stay true with us all through the whole process. And I don't know, quickly, please. I just got a question here before we just wrap up. Just one question from Erica, please. I said, okay. I don't think that's a question. So who will manage the risk? Okay. This question says, I agree, which is why governance is important. But Ubo mentioned no one's on the internet. So who will manage the risk? I don't think that's a question, but nevertheless, thank you to everyone, and I'm happy for the engagement, and I'm happy that we've been able to wrap up this conversation in a very wonderful way. Let's see you again same time next Thursday to talk more. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your great job, Matthew.